I'd like to call to order the December 12th, 2019 regular meeting of the Peters Township Planning Commission. Ed, roll call.
Mr. Cartafilis will not be here. Mr. Smith will not be here. Mr. Wiley?
Here.
Mr. Magrino?
Here.
Mr. Mills?
Here.
Mr. Salepis?
Here.
And Ms. Corbeil will not be here tonight.
Next item is the approval of minutes of November 14, 2019 regular meeting. Are there any comments on the minutes from the commissioners? Hearing none, may I have a motion?
I make a motion that we accept the minutes of the last November 14th regular meeting. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Reports and correspondence, Ed.
None.
Site plan subdivision filed for review.
None.
Any comments on the agenda?
No.
None. Any audience comments for items which are not on the agenda? Hearing none. Old business, there is none. That moves on to new business. Our first item is Planning Commission recommendation, Venetia Point 2019 final plan, Settlers Court.
Martic Properties LLP, owner and developer of the Venetia Point project, are requesting township approval for the Venetia Point 2019 final plan. The Venetia Point project was originally approved back in 2007, and it's been revised in 2014, 16, and 18, and I'll explain why. The Venetia Point development is a 33-unit townhouse development off of Venetia Road. Currently, 17 of those 33 units are built. The Venetia Point 2019 final plan simply records those 4 lots you see in that red cloud. They're 0.060 acre lots. Those 4 lots would be for the 4 proposed townhouse, 29, 30, what's causing that?
I'm not sure.
Does Ryan hear that in the back in the studio? Let me check. Just a little bit of history here as well. When this plan was originally approved, they recorded all 33 lots at one time. And when they sold the first unit, the county began taxing all the lots, and that created a tax burden for the Martics. So in 2014, we allowed them to come back and unrecord those lots. So what we do now is each time Martic Properties LLP is ready to build townhomes, come in and record the lots, and then we'd be in a position to issue the building permits. So this plan simply creates those 4 lots for the 4 townhomes that are approved for those 4 lots. Staff's recommending approval subject to the one condition, which is Peters Creek Sanitary.
Would you mind coming up to the podium, sir?
Yeah, sorry.
Introduce yourself.
Bruce Consugar, Cobalt Professional Services. I did send you the approval from Peters Creek. Did you receive it?
I did.
Okay, so that approval has also been gotten. So.
Then, if Planning Commission, let me just double check that. Hold on. Is that an approval?
Yes. Well, yeah, that came from Lennon Smith Solar Ray to Rick Kovach.
We don't have to have the Peters Creek condition if we...
So that's already been approved by
It's already been approved by Peters.
Yes.
Are these lots subject to a traffic impact fee?
They're not. They were developed and approved prior to us having the traffic impact fee. What they are subject to is they are subject to traffic impact fee.
Right.
I think. Traffic impact fee and open space fee in lieu of fee. And they've been paying those as each townhouse is issued a building permit.
So you've been handling that. That's not, it wouldn't be a condition.
Correct.
It's approval.
It's already a condition of the plan approval.
I think it's actually listed on the drawings also.
Yes.
That is actually listed as a condition on the final plan.
Understood. Any commissioner comments?
Make a recommendation, planning commission recommendation of Venetia Point 2019 final plan.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Very good. Well,
Thank you.
brings us to planning commission recommendation, Wagner final plan, Turkey Foot Road.
Michael Wagner, he owns this 10-acre lot at the intersection of, this thing doesn't work, at the intersection of Churchill here and Turkey Foot Road. He's seeking township approval to subdivide that 10 acres basically in half. The proposed Wagner plan creates one new lot, that's Lot 2, which is a 4.1 acre lot. This lot will have direct access to Turkey Foot Road. Turkey Foot Road is a collector road. Our subdivision and land development regulations do not permit new lots to be created with direct driveway access to collector road. So as part of this subdivision request, there's a modification to our subdivision ordinance, section 385-36 3B. I will tell you that that specific subdivision rule is more designed for preventing if they would try to come in and develop this Lot 2, for example, and create multiple lots with frontage along the road. We would not be in favor of that kind of thing. But in this case, one lot, big estate lot on 4+ acres, the driveway would come out directly across from Sagewood. We've gone out there with their engineers and our traffic engineer. There is 200+ feet of sight distance looking both left and right. So staff is comfortable with this modification to allow Lot 2 to be created with direct access to Turkey Foot. This area of Peters is zoned low-density residential. In addition to the fact that it's zoned low-density, it is in the Conservation Residential Overlay District, which gives them the ability, they could turn this 10 acres into a multi-lot residential subdivision, but they're not doing that. He wants to maintain this estate environment. He's going to be selling both lots, the house lot and the new lot. And this area of Peters is serviced by the Peters Creek Sanitary Authority. There is public access to the public sewer for proposed Lot 2. They do need DEP sewage facility planning module approval, which is one of the conditions of our recommendation. So staff's recommending we approve the proposed Wagner plan, including that modification to our subdivision ordinance that would allow Lot 2 to have direct driveway access to Turkey Foot. Our recommendation comes with those 10 conditions I have listed there. I would tell you that the engineer Leatis, in this case, that's preparing this plan, has sent me a plan that addresses all these conditions. We still want to approve it subject to these conditions, but the only things that are pending is Washington County Planning Commission and Peters Creek approval, and the DEP sewage facility planning module is what we need to have ultimately before we let this plan be recorded. But staff's comfortable recommending to the Planning Commission that we approve both the subdivision and the modification subject to those 10 conditions.
And
Yes.
it's obviously not developed. It's an empty, land right now.
See, it's 10 acres with one house on it.
Right. Well, the existing house will be on, what is that, Lot 2
Lot 1.
or 1? And is the topography on Lot 2, does it preclude it from accessing the driveway to, Churchill versus?
Yes. It's up a steep hill.
Okay, so that's why the Turkey Foot
Yes.
access is required?
Turkey Foot access as well as Churchill is also a collector road, so this property fronts on 2 collector roads.
So, okay.
Either way,
It requires a modification.
yes, they would go to Turkey. If they would go to Churchill, they'd need a modification. If they would go to Turkey Foot, they'd need a modification. There's much better sight distance on Turkey Foot.
Ed, you were saying the reason you're comfortable with this on the collector road is because it's one house, which makes sense. Does it make sense also add to, as a condition, that there'll never be further subdivision?
Yes, that's a good suggestion. We could make that.
I want it on both lots too. 1 and 2 since they're subdivided, right? This should impact, should create another lot.
I don't
Would you
think
mind
that.
coming up?
You need to come up, Dave.
Thank you, sir. Just state your name. Appreciate it.
My name's Dave Kalina. I'm with Leatis Engineering, and I'm sure Mr. Wagner would not have any opposition to that kind of.
So we would, if all of Planning Commission is comfortable with that, we would add under condition number 7, we would add D, lots 1 and 2 of the Wagner plan cannot be further subdivided.
I'll put a note to that effect on the drawing under the typical conditions
That would be
are
condition
already
D.
on there. Yeah,
You're okay with that?
I'm fine with it, and I don't think Mr. Wagner will oppose it either.
D's lot 1 and 2 cannot be further subdivided? Is that what I
Yes.
heard?
Yep.
Any other commissioner comments? Any other audience comments? Hearing none, may I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that the Wagner plan of lots be approved according to Planning Commission's recommendation in their memo dated December 6, 2019, along with the 10 requirements stated, with the clarification that I guess the letter D will be added to requirement number 7, which will state that neither Lot 1 nor Lot 2 can be subdivided further.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
That brings us to item number C. And I noticed C and D are, I believe, regarding the same property.
Yes, sir.
Do we still need to make, 2 motions on both C and D?
Yes.
Can we run the presentation together?
Yes.
Makes more sense if that's.
Do you just want
okay,
to
yeah.
run all as one, and then will you do 2 separate motions?
I think at the end that'll be.
That makes sense.
Most expeditious.
Yeah, that's fine.
Very good. That'll bring us to Planning Commission recommendation, Valley Brook Subdivision Plan number 1, final plan, and also concurrently discussed Planning Commission approval, site plan, Valley Brook Cafe, Valley Brook Road. Anyone from the applicant wish to speak? Just introduce yourself, sir.
Well, Seth's going to start off.
That's what I thought. That's what I was waiting for.
There you go. sir.
Fair enough. Thanks.
Sorry to steal
It's
your
okay.
thunder.
So we've been to Planning Commission once before with this project. The applicant came before you with kind of a conceptual site plan. This is for the Valley Brook Cafe, located at 330 Valley Brook Road on a township-owned property that the applicant has come into a lease agreement with. Kind of the first part of this project is a subdivision plan that creates this lot off to the left of the cafe lot here. This would be the cafe lot, this would be the proposed lot. Part of the lease agreement with the applicant is that they dedicate this portion of land to the township. It's going to be used as part of our MS4 program through our engineering department, so that was part of that transaction between the applicant and the township. They're simply creating a new lot. It meets all of our zoning requirements of this district, and it's going to be dedicated to the township. You'll make a motion at the end, but staff is making a recommendation of approval for the subdivision plan, subject to our 7 notes listed in my December 4, 2019 report, none of which are of any real issue, just Planning Commission approval from the county, Peters Township Sanitary Authority approval, and then some notations that will be put on the subdivision plan. Moving right along into the actual land development of the cafe. Again, this is 330 Valley Brook Road, property owned by the township and leased into by the applicant. Later on, the applicant's going to go through his presentation that shows kind of a before and after the last time they were in front of Planning Commission, so I'll kind of try to keep this brief. The applicant is proposing a roughly 1,500 square foot cafe development with around 25 parking spaces that's centralized around the existing stormwater facility on the site, with parking for both the cafe tenants and customers, as well as parking for trailhead access to the Arrowhead Trail. Kind of the predominant feature of this application is the drive-through aisle that goes around the stormwater facility and will ultimately go on, the eastern side of the building here. Here's a little bit closer, zoomed-in look at their overall application. When we came to Planning Commission last time, the entirety of the development was located all on the Township-owned property at 330 Valley Brook, with primary access to the site located approximately here. Taking into consideration Planning Commission's comments after further conversation with staff, obviously they've moved the access further off onto the applicant's own property, kind of splitting the difference there with the Township property and locating the building and most of the improvements on the Township property, with the majority of the parking on his development or his property, and kind of creating a cohesive development across that shared property line. In regard to landscaping, the applicant is proposing a significant amount of landscaping around the site, primarily of which includes landscaping in the pond and the required buffer along Valley Brook Road. The pond itself will see a pretty significant improvement to its aesthetic. Right now it's pretty barren and doesn't look all that great, but the applicant is proposing a nice upgrade in terms of landscaping. One comment from our engineer was that their initial application probably had a little bit too much in terms of landscaping in the pond, so we've asked the applicant to take a second look at that and maybe cut back a little bit. And they've sent us a semi-revised plan earlier today that addresses that, but they're going to get us a full revisions after this Planning Commission meeting. In regard to the actual building itself, the applicant is going with a mostly brick facade with a green standing seam metal roof and some little accent pieces with some siding and a gray chimney along the backside up against the pond. The backside of that building will be located up against an outdoor area with like a porch and some sitting areas and some benches around the pond. There's also going to be a bicycle workstation there around the cafe building. Overall, staff is very happy with what the applicant has proposed to us. We are making recommendation of approval for the land development site plan, which Planning Commission, if you remember, as part of the zoning hearing board variance approval, you have express approval over the site plan, egress, ingress, land development, landscaping, all elements of site plan was granted express approval to you from their variance approval through the zoning hearing board. So this is your time to speak up on any items on the site plan that you want to see improved on or changed, and we'll address those with the applicant. I'm here to answer any questions you may have, but the applicant has his own presentation as well.
Good evening, Mike Wetzel, firm Victor Wetzel Associates. As Seth mentioned, we're here tonight for actually two items on the agenda. It's the Valley Brook Subdivision Plan, as well as the land development plans. Thank you. Within the site. And as Seth mentioned, as you recall, we were here in front of the Planning Commission in June when we were here seeking a variance for the zoning hearing board that will allow a drive-through window within the Valley Brook mixed-use corridor district. At that time, we presented a site plan. There was a lot of kind of concerns in regard to that site plan, and from that standpoint, we did a revision, went to the zoning hearing board a few weeks later, and received the variance request from them. But in relationship to the site, overall, as Seth had mentioned, the parcel has two pieces. Parcel 1, located along interior, wraps around, is about 9.2 acres in size and is owned by Tom Robinson and the trust. And then the township-owned parcel 2, which is a 5.7 acre section. As you know, Brush Creek works its way through the site through here, Valley Brook Road, all the way along through this section, Arrowhead Trail located in through here, and then you have the high school that's being built over in that portion of the site. When we do look at the site in detail, real quickly, it's the existing detention facility that takes place for the single-family plan up above for Wedgewood Drive. There was an existing building located through here, and they had the gravel access that took place within the site. When you also look at some of the utilities, we do have the existing dual sanitary line coming through here, sanitary line coming through this section. And then we have an overhead electric line along and through here. That portion of the overhead electric line will be relocated up along this area to avoid conflict with the new building. Now, as I said, 2 items on the agenda. One is the subdivision plan, and this land will be donated to the township. So really what we're doing is creating this parcel right along and through here, 2.3 acres in size. And once again, that would be donated to the township for their future stormwater needs. So that remains about 6.8 acres along through this section. It's owned by the family trust, and once again, the existing detention facility. So when you do look at the overall site area, this is the site plan in relationship to the whole site area. This is the area where we're looking on the improvements. As part of the lease agreement, we're permitted to be able to do improvements along through here, and then once again adding additional access and parking on the property currently owned, as well as access over to the Arrowhead Trail and over Brush Creek, very similar to the housing plan that's up the road from Valley Brook Road. Now, in regard to the overall final site plans for the site, if you recall, this was the site plan that we reviewed in June. Really, once again, mostly took into account the township-owned parcel area in through here. We had the access off of Valley Brook. There was a lot of concern not only from staff, but also the Planning Commission in regard to the traffic activity that took place over along through here. Once you came through the drive-through, a lot of cross-traffic. And so with that said, we developed an alternate plan that you've already kind of seen here tonight, which shows how we've moved that access down to the site here. So we'll have the in and out along Valley Brook Road. What you'll be able to do if I'm a patron of going to the cafe and do the drive-through, you can enter the plan, work itself and through here, drive all the way around the detention facility through this section. We'll have the order window through this section, and then be able to pick up with the pickup window and through here. We meet the requirement for the number of parking spaces that need to be stacked within that area, as well as stop bars located here for sidewalk access, because we do have the sidewalk in through here, and then the phase will have the connection over to the Arrowhead Trail. Under this current plan, we have 22 parking spaces really shown over in the main area and through here, and then 5 parking spaces through this portion of the site. Kind of the pink color area is concrete associated with the plan, so we'll have an access into the cafe building here, front access to the building through here, and we have a patio space within the plan in itself. One of the other nice amenities to the plan is right along the dam work in itself. We'll be doing a trail along through this section. You'll be able to sit along this trail when you come through, and that's why we really do have that really highly planted detention facility. A lot of those plantings in there are really for also BMPs that you have in regard to stormwater management. We'll kind of get into that detail here in a moment. So once again, this is really the site plan that we have in relationship for the cafe. Some of the details that we have in regard to the plan, Seth had already talked about the architecture. This is where the view when you're really coming in off of Valley Brook Road. You'll be able to come in, wrap yourself around the back through here for the drive-through pickup window, crosswalks designated along the area. So really, once again, traffic-wise, there's a lot of stopping that takes place in regard to car movements. Really, we have architectural-wise is counter space over and through here, interior floor space within this section, and restrooms off along through this area. 3 means of access into the site: the main access along and through here from the parking lot. We also have what we call the biker entrance from the Montour Trail, and then an entrance that leads to the patio space. And as the drawings you've already seen is some of the architectural elevations that will take place within the site. So a real good mixture of colors, a lot of windows. This is the view that looks out over into the detention facility. So again, we're not trying to hide the detention facility. Most people try to, that's the thing you don't want to see. Look at the amount of windows that are being proposed and looking through that section. And you'll also see within our plan, we'll be having more of a railing that takes place there, more of that kind of wire, airplane type wire railing. So you'll be able to look through that and enjoy the way the facility, detention facility is. Once again, very highly landscaped plans with the required buffer yard plantings, required parking lot plantings in regard to the dumpster locations and through here, and also within the drive-through window in itself, and you can kind of see the color that's taking place in regard to the plan overall. We look at the detail. Once again, if we come off of the trail, you'll be able to come through, walk through this section. We make sure we have a stop bar and a crosswalk system along and through here for when there is the cars that come through. Bikers will be able to come in. We have 2 racks along through here of 10 spaces for bikes through here. We'll also have a bike repair station with a pump and a section really to kind of park your bike along through that area. Once again, being able to walk around the back through this section. Where we do have the detention facility, we will have a wall that's located here in the more solid black. That wall will be no higher than 5 feet. And once again, because of that view and the amount of glass out the back, we're really getting prominent views into this location, as well as down towards Brush Creek and the Arrowhead Trail. And then once again, an outdoor seating area through this area. And then you do have the gravel trail that works itself all the way around in regard to the site plan. Also in regard to protection, we do have the drive-through lane, and through here we come through, have the stop bar. Once again, if there's any crossing that takes place with the concrete walk through this area, as well as little protectors that really represent, if you would back out, that there is that curb and if there's any other cars. So we're really having a lot of situations where we're looking at protecting not only pedestrians and bicyclists, but also vehicles in itself. And once again, really some of the amenities, once again, the bike repair station through here, relatively large in regard to this. You have all these tools that are associated with the bike repair station. You'll be able to hang your bike, do any kind of repairs that you have. A little section where you'll be able to park your bike to be able to pump air into it, and we'll have a little pump station in it. These are the types of wave bike racks that will take place, as I showed you on the site plan. Over and through here is the wire cable fence that we'll have in that rear walkway that looks down, once again, really being open, be able to look into that, and then the type of benches that will take place along the walkway of the detention facility itself. And then when we do look at the detail of the detention facility, the limits of the actual stormwater detention facility is this black line along and through here. So you can see the majority of this planting all the way around and through here is outside the limits of the detention facility within it. And then within this plants area, plants are designed really to take into account wet feet in regard to the inundation of water from the stormwater plan for the site. And we're really not having a lot of plant material within this whole general area. We do have trees, 4 trees, and then a mixture of shrubs in through here. We do have an outlet structure in through here and over along and through here. And if you recall the site in the area, there are concrete channels that go to the existing inlet here and right along and through here. And what we've done is kind of provided a gravel or a rock little visual character that water would go into the channel, and it gives it that appearance that there is a little dry creek bed along to that area. That'll help in regard to maintenance. This will not be a mulched bed. It'll actually have a special kind of seed mixture within there. It doesn't get mowed very often, maybe once, twice a year in regard to if it gets into it. But the last thing we wanted to do is have a pine bark mulch facility. So once again, we're really providing what's called the planting material within the detention facility. It's really what a lot of conservation district likes to have, is this type of plantings that help kind of take some of the water within the site. And once, as I said, we do have the wall, and through here some of the base plantings through this section. Once again, with the walkway that goes all the way around, we'll have a 2-rail fence along through this section, all the way around. Seating areas along and through this section, and then once again, another hedgerow behind the fence to make sure people are not going to that particular section of the site. And once again, we just have, this is the overall landscape plan for it. As I said, we're seeking approval from Planning Commission in regard to the final two items, the subdivision plan as well as the land development plans. We have received comments in regard to just some slight changes that the township would like to see. One was in regard to removal of these 4 parking spaces over, along, and through here, through the section. We provided an exhibit to the township staff of how we'll remove that and then add 2 parking spaces along and through this area. So that way we're removing the 4 parking spaces in through here. So instead of 27 parking spaces, we'll be at 25 parking spaces. And we've also shown, per the staff's recommendation, some alterations in regard to the road widths that would occur within the drive-through. One item was, after you get past the parking area and through here, that this area gets widened to a 16-foot wide cartway, just in case there was a need to be able to have a vehicle go around. So that takes place all along that area of the site. With that, then we made a slight little change in regard to the detention facility, or not detention, the dumpster location and its orientation. But we'll be able to make those adjustments based on the review of the staff and addressing their comments. So glad to answer any questions that the board might have in regard to our 2 recommendations for Valley Brook Cafe.
Is the stormwater for this site handled within the existing basin?
Yes, yes it does.
I think it's a remarkable improvement over what we saw before. I mean, it really is.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree.
Very encouraged about the drop-off. Could you explain the difference in phasing? I noticed you have the steps and bike ramp identified as phase 2.
Some of the permitting is going to take a little bit longer in regard to that. So we want to be able to really, once again, start site work here relatively soon in regard to the site to maybe going through, but we're really just showing all phases of the access.
Gotcha. And then I noticed in staff's comments, we had a discussion about what I'll call site signage or wayfinding. We'll be reviewing that in a little bit more detail. I think that's very advisable,
Yep.
given the complexity of the circulation.
Right.
I think it all works well. It's just kind of that learned behavior, making sure folks may be new to the site.
No
Correct. Some additional smaller site
Exactly.
signage in regard to
Right.
drive through this way. Maybe instead of the stop bar, showing the stop bar, but maybe adding a stop. Those kind of little miscellaneous things. We'll be working those slight details out with staff.
Could you talk quickly about the hours of the cafe for primary business? I'm most concerned about, not concerned, but questioning how this interacts with parking for the trail, but also with parking for the cafe, because those may be different times. Just trying to understand what the overall overflow capacity for the trail may be, given that the cafe needs 13 spaces, it was, I think.
Tom has not finalized any, I'll say, details in regard to the cafe, but are you able to kind of add any additional comments in regard to the hours?
I think you open at 6:30, close at 8 at night.
So there's it's an all-day cafe.
Yes, correct.
So we think with the 25 spaces, we think we have an additional
12,
12
12.
spaces over what's required.
Yes.
Got it.
effectively double.
Gotcha.
A point of clarification on the land development portion. It talks about the variance. This is under site design.
Yep.
Item number 2, the variance will expire within 1 year from the date of this decision. Is it
It's the zoning hearing board
so
decision.
that would make it the June 18th, 2019?
Yes.
So they have to commence their plan or commence building
Well,
June of 2020?
It says they have to properly apply for all necessary permits within a year of their zoning hearing board variance approval. Then they have 6 months to begin such permitted activity. So fall
Agree
of
with the
2020, they have to start site work and begin
But
the development.
the starting time or date
Was-
is June 18th,
Correct.
2019?
Correct.
Not tonight's decision?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And I do think it was a good decision to remove the 4 spots clearly coming in off Valley Brook Road.
Seth,
good job.
I had a concern with those cars pulling in and out right where everyone's,
Making it right. Yeah.
And it is a violation of the zoning ordinance. We don't permit parking between building facades and street right-of-ways, so.
How did the HOP process come in?
That process is still going through.
Okay. Do you have any issues?
No.
Okay, that's good. What is the time frame?
Tom would like to be able to, once we get all of his permits, to begin this spring.
Terrific. No, tremendous upgrade. Really did a remarkable job in upgrading it.
Thank you.
Looks really good.
Yeah.
I think it'll be really kind of a proud piece along Valley Brook Road along through that corridor. So really nice use of a unused detention facility in a lot of cases.
What's the tree in the middle?
Actually, that's a birch.
Okay.
Yes. So they just love wet feet.
Yeah, no, it looks great. It's like
It's kind of I'll call it my showcase tree in that
Gotcha.
location.
Any other commissioner comments?
Yeah, I have a question or comment. Number one, I really love the plan. I was concerned after our last meeting with all the things we threw at you that it might die in committee, and I'm glad to see it back. And big improvement. Love the fact that it's spread out over the Robinson family's other property. Number 12, if a freestanding sign is desired, a monument-style sign must be utilized. Is there a way that they can also have a sign on Arrowhead Trail without too much trouble?
that's
Question.
forbidden territory to have commercial signs along the trail.
Can't they just put it on their
Building.
their stair
They could
structure?
have it on their
not
building.
commercialize it, but just say what's available?
I don't think that's allowed under our sign rules. We don't want commercial signs along the trail.
Okay.
That's
You could see it.
that flashing marquee with the arrow.
Well, when you drive the bike down there, you think,
There'd be a coffee cup trash can right by the.
Because once they do it, everyone's going to do it.
Right.
good job.
Thank you.
Any other commissioner comments? Any other audience comments? Hearing none, we're going to need 2 motions.
Can we do one at a time?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'll make planning commission approval the Valley Brook Cafe land development site plan, subject to Seth Kinn's December 5th, 2019.
May I have a second on the motion?
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved.
I'll make a motion that the planning commission recommends Valley Brook subdivision plan number 1.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
That brings us to the planning portion and any miscellaneous issues brought up by commissioner staff.
I have none.
Anything else from the? Very good. Meeting adjourned.